Hey everybody, it's Greg Rice. We're here in Cranston, Rhode Island, and we're with, drumroll please, Emily Gencarella of Century21 Northeast. She's in charge of talent acquisition.
Yes.
So what the hell is that?
So talent acquisition, that's where we do the recruiting. So it's the recruitment side. It's part of the headquarters. So right now I'm just started with them. Prior to this, I had met Don Martone, shout out to Don Martone, and at the time I was working for a moving company, wasn't really satisfied, couldn't figure out, what it was my passion was in life, and I'm like on this deep journey, I feel, as we all are, to figuring out who I'm supposed to become, what I love to do, so that way I'll want to wake up every day and do it. So for me, purpose is like a big thing, and so when I met him, he was so great enough to, kind of tell me some strengths he sees about me, and he's like, you know what, Emily, I think you'd make a really good real estate agent. So after kind of toying with the idea for a bit, he convinced me, and so I decided, you know what, maybe I should give it a try, why not? The biggest thing that I've learned in 2020 is when opportunity presents itself, doesn't matter if you don't know how to do it, you take it and you figure it out.
Absolutely. So
that, I was like, I'm just gonna run with it. It's a lot of personality. I actually just completed the classes. Woo, I had Kevin Dumont. He was my teacher, so shout out to Kevin Dumont. A lot of shout outs in this video. It's really all about, the people you meet, the opportunities you get. I saw this really nice quote where it talked about talent. Everybody has talent, but not everybody gets an opportunity
to use it.
Exactly. So I said, what the heck? So I'll be going for my license soon enough. And as I was, in the middle of doing this schooling, if you will, I got introduced to Rob D'Amico, who's part of Century21 as well. And so he works close, he's Jim D'Amico's cousin. Gotcha. So they work together. And so after meeting them, they decided they liked me a lot, so we're giving this a go. We're doing the recruiting. Cool. Yeah. Hopefully.
So where are you coming from before that? You said the moving company? How about before the moving company?
Before the moving company at Beltone, New England. Hearing aid company. Yes, yep. Wow. That's actually kind of, I feel like we all have those darker times, right, when you're kind of stuck and you're in a rut and you don't know what to do. So prior to coming, or I should say, as I was coming out of it, I was talking to the CEO of Beltone, who I was friendly with. Guess we'll do another shout out, Mike Andriozzi. He gave me the opportunity, and I became per diem, so I was able to travel from different offices and work on the front end, doing the administration work. And that's really where I kind of started to gain my confidence back and decided, okay, maybe sales might not be the way. I don't really know what the route is. And then unfortunately, once the pandemic hit, I didn't really have an opportunity to explore that anymore. So once I left, I was just in go mode with trying to find an opportunity. I remember, I'll even admit, I was sitting in the office as they told me, the pandemic, you're one of the people that we have to let go. And I'm sitting in the office and I have like a tear coming down my face because I was so upset. Finally, an opportunity to have a purpose, with this company. And then, I was like, no, Emily, opportunity is because you asked, right? The biggest piece of advice I could give to anyone starting out or trying to start out is just ask. Ask. That's what gets you the opportunity. I asked him, when I couldn't really get some more help from my own parents, I asked him for advice through a Facebook message after watching him do a meatball review. I remember watching him on social media. I'm like, how is he so confident to do this meatball review? At the time, he wasn't getting a ton of likes, maybe, 50, 20 friends and family. But I was like, how is he so confident? And until I understood the power of, you're posting for yourself, not necessarily your viewers all the time, being authentic, that's when I realized, man, he's just doing what he loves. It doesn't really matter. So that was just kind of like an experience and a journey in itself that gave me, the confidence. Then I set out, asked about, something online, about a moving company. That wasn't a good fit, and now I'm here. So I guess the whole idea is, just keep going through things until you find what it is you want to do. That's what I'm learning anyway. I'm only 25, so I can't, say it's for certain, but this is the process.
What was your first job?
Dunkin Donuts. I was a barista when I was 15 years old.
15, so sophomore in high school?
I believe so, yep. Somewhere around there, because then soon after I got my license. But yeah, I was working at my first official job. I mean, if you want to count babysitting when I was 12, because I wanted a cell phone. My parents told me, oh, you want a cell phone? You're going to have to buy that. I'm like, at the age of 12, well, my $15 a week allowance isn't cutting it.
True.
So my mom's like, you could be a mother's helper. And so I started doing mother's helper, babysitting, and then Dunkin.
So let me ask you this. When you worked at Dunkin, what did you look at employment as?
So I saw employment as a means of money. And that was it.
That was it, A to B.
Yeah, I didn't really think about whether you had to like the job, whether, you were going to be able to, attain the skills and be able to do well. Like, I never really thought about it as a whole other than I just need money.
And then your next job was what after the Dunkin'?
I believe that's when I started to get into serving. So I think I worked at a little pizza parlor place.
Okay, and did you still have the same outlook on employment, that it's just for money and nothing more?
Yeah. Well, I guess this type of employment, I wasn't looking at it in a career sense. I was just looking at it, I want to get experience and I want to get, some money.
So what job or what point did you start to see, all right, purpose is important and value is important and self-worth is important? What age or what job specifically?
But okay, so this actually had to be maybe about a year or two ago. I was serving at a restaurant, Carrabba's, and I realized that I was ambitious. I think that's when I realized that I had some different types of ambitions than your average server would.
Got it.
This was a place where they started challenging us to see who could sell the most wines. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I have to be a wine rep, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so how do I sell the wine? My biggest thing is I cannot sell anything I either don't really necessarily believe in or don't know about.
So you start drinking a lot of wine.
I mean, I wish I could. I mean, that's the only way. But no, I went right to the partner and I asked him, I said, hey, I totally get with this. I really want to do well. I want to sell wine. Would you be able to teach us? Like, how do we go about selling this wine that we know nothing about? How do we entice, the customers? And so, he said, oh, I can help you out with that. We could hold a workshop. So he was going to hold like a tasting and, where he could, teach us all about it. And long story short, after a few weeks of asking him, and it just didn't end up happening, when we were in a employee meeting, because I think we did those like maybe once a month, I had interjected and raised my hand and said, hey, would anyone else, all 28 of us, would anyone else benefit from learning about wine to be able to sell their wine? And everybody rose their hand. So, everybody wrote on, I guess maybe a roster or a piece of paper saying their name and their email, saying that they would be interested in it. It was everybody, all 28 of us. So, and then when that didn't take place, I almost felt, excuse my language, but bullshitted.
Yeah, or worse.
I felt disrespected. I'm like, wait, just because I'm a server?
Yeah.
In my mind, I know this sounds crazy, but I thought, maybe, I work from server, maybe I could potentially be a manager. Or maybe, in these times, positions, change all the time. And you create something. Maybe I could do something with marketing. Maybe I could do an intern. I don't know. My mind's always thinking of this type of stuff.
Yep.
And then when that happened, that really, really bothered me. And I mean, I'd already kind of had, it with the industry, so to speak, for 7 years. I just felt like a lot of restaurants were kind of disrespectful, or managers were. But, it's neither here nor there. And then this one really did it for me. And I said, you know what? I'm never, ever going to work for a restaurant again. This is where I start to, start looking at a career. Because this isn't a career. Career will let you advance. The restaurant won't.
Some people never get that breaking moment. They just say, oh, it is what it is. I'll move on. I'll just learn how to sell wine on my own. Or just suck at it and get by. So it's amazing that you're able to shatter that ceiling that most people live under forever. Most people. Yeah,
I don't know. That's when I started to realize, you know what, I think I have a lot more to offer. And I don't know why, even though at a young age I felt like I didn't. It has nothing to do with, me as a person. It's just, this developing this skill. So the next step was, okay, how do you develop the skill you want to get a job? Because if you look at a lot of these jobs, they're like, oh, must have experience in this or that.
This degree, this, that, 5 years of this. Right. It's like, what?
Right. So I will say this. I think, especially, today, a degree doesn't matter as much as it did back then, right? I think we all can agree that. However, do I think it helps? Absolutely. And if you don't have that, which I personally don't right now, I think the next best thing is they say it's all about who you know. Get to know people. Get yourself out there. How do you start to know people? You get out there and you introduce yourself.
The more times I feel awkward in a day, the better.
I don't know, it's weird that, and so like, I love Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey always talks about, you know,
Yes.
I don't necessarily believe in God per se, but he talks about, he's like, God, you know, gave you your vision, it's only your vision. You know, whatever strength it is you have, that's your gift. And the idea is to find out what that gift is and then double down on it.
Yep.
And so I really couldn't figure out what my gift was for a while until so many people, and everyone would tell me this throughout my life. They're like, that's your gift. It's the gift of people. You have that personality. You can relate to people. You can talk to anybody, you know, from any ethnicity, you know, doesn't matter economics, socioeconomics, doesn't matter your gender. Like, I just get it. From 2 to 92, you know, I just had that ability and, you know, still do to talk to people. So this is the year, 2020 was the year that I'm like doubled down on that and, you know, use that to my own ability, you know, leverage and kind of work with it and meet people. And I guess it's kind of got me to the opportunity where I'm at now. Now, does that by any means mean, you know, I'm successful at the moment? No, but it means I conquered whatever that milestone was to get to that point. I may not get there for another 20, 30 years, but it's the process. And that's what I love. I'm in the beginning process. And, you know, to everybody out there, it feels good when you know that you're in that. You know, you're not stuck anymore. You're on your way out.
Yes.
You can see a vision. You see the light.
You're liberated.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of people that I interview are already at their success peak or their mid-level success. I haven't interviewed anybody, maybe aside from Joshua Choppy of Choppy Media. He's like, you got to check him out. Up and coming. He's like 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
Out of coronavirus, he started his own photography and film business, and he's shooting, Don maybe knows him, hundreds and hundreds of properties.
Wow.
Each month. So the realtors call him and say, hey, this is listed, and he started that own business. Great guy. But other than that, we don't spend time talking about the people that are coming up like you.
Right.
We spend time on the old hag, you know, the dusty desk guy that, you know, he's got 30 trophies and he's been in the business for 98 years. It's just like, that's good. It's good, but it's a little boring. And it's not as motivating because you're like, how do I get all these plaques?
Right.
I'll never get there. I'll just stay at Carrabba's.
Right.
Or I'll just stay, you know, at my desk job and I'll sell hearing aids and that's it. But you were like, no, I'm all set with that. I'm all set. And then you watch my favorite guy, Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
Survey says the best. That guy has so much versatility.
He does.
And diversity. And he could joke with this person, that person. It's just like, he is the smoothest.
He is.
And then you watch his show, I think it was called Steve Harvey Show. He did a segment called Ask Steve.
Yep. Or maybe Hey Steve.
Yeah, or something.
Like that, yeah.
And they would get a question from, I think it was an audience member, and he would just give his take on it off the cuff. And you're like, wow, what an answer for something that literally was probably just handed to him.
Yeah, and so I think with that, if you look at it, like a lot of that has to do with kind of like the psychology of people. And so when we get into that, I think that really plays a big part now in our business culture, the work culture. So, you know, also when choosing to go to, you know, Century21, to me, going from industry and, you know, each job and each CEO and each boss, I really realized, that's when I started to realize that the culture of the company mattered so much to me. It does. And so to say, you know, it's got to be the way, the old corporate culture way, that didn't work for me. I didn't like that. And then having someone that was just, you know, a terrible boss that was kind of mean and demoralizing, you know, that sucked too. So, you know, when you're going around and you're looking for a place you really want to be at, you know what? It's okay. Like, and I don't know why for a while I was like, you know, I'm not good enough to, like, say that I deserve this or deserve that, or to think this crazy thought that, the right company will be out there with the right culture. And honestly, I chose Century21 because of who runs it. I really believe in what they're doing and how they have this kind of family-style, close-knit culture. And so, shout out to Jim and Rob Domingo. You guys do a fantastic job at that. So to say, where I'll be in a year from now, hopefully still with the companies, still growing with them. They're corporate, but they don't have that corporate vibe. And that's what I love. It's all about relationship. And that's me. That's 100% me. And so when I met Don, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's too good to be true. And then I met, Jim and Robert. I'm like, wow, this is an awesome company. It seems like the really great leaders all feel the same way, all share that, same value of how the company should be run.
How did you meet Don?
How did I meet Don? It's the classic Facebook. Facebook, when I was looking to, start to network with people, he popped up and click, I requested him.
He was a suggestion?
He was a suggestion.
Don't you like Facebook suggestions sometimes? You're like, why would you suggest them?
Right? I mean, looking at his picture, I was like, it's not a bad suggestion, Facebook.
Take it.
Click. Not a bad suggestion.
So after that, you suggested, or you clicked him, right?
Yep.
And then did you message him and say, hey? You were suggested to me? Or did he reach out and say, hey, how did it go?
So actually, we have a mutual friend, Tyler Hittner. I'll do another shout out. He's a local comedian, Tyler Hittner.
6 shout outs.
Yeah. And he had messaged me like minutes after Don and I probably had been accepted the friend request.
Okay.
And he's like, Don Martone? And I'm like, no, but I want to. So we kind of ended up setting that up, whatever. And, we met out, went out to grab dinner, met, and then from there, it was just like a really nice relationship that was built, And I gotta say, like, I hate when people say, you don't need anybody else to make you feel validated. No, you really don't. That's the technicality of it. But does it feel nice? Does it lift you up? Does it give you a little more confidence when someone does? Absolutely. And Dawn was that, like, off the bat. And I don't know why, but for some reason, and, I hear a lot of older people that I talk to this about, I just kind of felt almost like in crazy mode. When, the group you surround yourself with doesn't necessarily share the same, vision as you start to kind of feel a little crazy. And so finally, when I met him, it was like,
finally.
It was like a relief that I was like, I really feel like I could be myself. And so then getting to know kind of what he does and how he operates, it was just really almost liberating kind of to see that, I could be my authentic self and have, people share the same visions and, want to see me do well and want to be a part of their culture. And so in their group, and that, it was, I don't know, to me it was really nice. It fit well. I'm really happy to be where I'm at right now.
Wow.
He's very inspiring. I will say that, very inspiring.
He is. And one thing I like about Don, actually I love about Don, is he's not afraid of the haters.
No.
He's not afraid of controversy. He's not afraid of adversity. He welcomes all the above.
Yeah.
And when I met him, first time, we interviewed at Dusk Lounge in Providence.
Yep, saw that.
Harris Ave. And he's wearing a cutoff David Bowie t-shirt. His guns are hanging out. And I got my little BB guns,
My little BB.
So, he's an intimidating person. Yeah. And most people push down on that, or they push him oh.
Especially because he goes against the norm.
Yeah, fuck that. That guy's not going to be warm and fuzzy, or he's not going to be able to sell my house.
Well, he's not warm and fuzzy. He's not.
Well, the bottom line is he's not the stereotypical person, and that's what I like about him. And that's what his sign, his real estate rock star sign that was on Route 10 a few years ago. I was like, wow, somebody has balls. Somebody is not afraid to be out there. Yeah. And those people go to the top.
Honestly, my favorite quote is by Dr. Seuss. And you know what he said? You have to be odd to be number one. You have to be odd to be number one. And that, it really makes you think. You're like, wow. I mean, even if you look at like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, if you really took a look at them, aside from their money, you'd think they're pretty freaking weird, right?
Weirdos.
But weird isn't bad, you know? And that's what I'm trying to learn, you know? The older generation thinks weird and out there is different. It's not great. But I feel like, you know, the times are progressing, and now as my generation starts to rise, you know, being weird is the thing. It's the thing that's going to get you, you know, noticed. Say what you want. Say he wears a low V-neck. Don's the man.
Or no V-neck.
Or no V-neck.
It's like a U-neck. It just goes all the way down.
Got so much love for him, though. He's so great. And, like, and he works it, you know? He doesn't care what anybody says about him. Yep. And, you know, that's inspiring to me. Because at one point in life, I didn't care. But then I did. And now, you know, watching him go, you know, do the things he does and how he interacts with, you know, what life kind of throws at him, makes you want to be him, you know? Great people make you feel like you can be great, too.
Yes.
I'm a big quote person.
So we're drinking Don's Kool-Aid.
We're drinking Don's Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid.
How about this? What breaking into the real estate business, what are you noticing about the old guard, you know, the people that are established? What's the most annoying thing? Or like, you're like, wow, this is so like, why does this exist? Or why is that the way this is done?
So I think in real estate, I would say, just as a young person coming in, I look at the way that everybody markets it. So that's a big thing, right? Marketing your listing. And over again, you see the same repetitive, ready to close.
I know this one.
We close. Oh my God, or the poses, you know?
Don't lean forward.
Yeah. It's all the same.
Under contract.
I mean,
offer accepted.
Right? Or they do the selfie with the, like, in front of the house. That's all great and everything, but now, I mean, again, this is just from a young person's perspective. I'm like, they're all the same. So, how do you still show that you care about whatever it is you're doing and you're happy with what you're doing and that you're closing, but, you know, with changing it up? And that's what I want to do. You know, I want to change it up. I don't know how I want to change it up, but, like, I don't know. I don't want to fall into that norm. Yes, I still want to make it professional enough, but I feel like this whole idea of professionalism is evolving, that word. You know, what's formal, what's not, what's okay.
What's okay now that maybe 10 years ago is not okay?
Probably text messaging.
So, just communication.
Yeah, communication as a whole.
What else?
Dress, how you dress. I mean, I think, you know, the professional line still remains with that, but I think nowadays it's kind of a little more lax, especially for women.
Yeah.
Something I didn't realize, but I learned, was that at one point real estate was predominantly female-dominated. For sure. Industry, you know, in career.
Yep.
So I thought that was very interesting. I was like, huh. So you know, you're seeing a lot of men in it. I would say for me, I see more male real estate agents than I do female. You know, online. But that's just me.
Maybe that's what Facebook is suggesting.
Facebook suggestions, you gotta love it.
Facebook is like, it's so, like, I scroll through my feed and it's just like, it knows exactly what I want to see. It doesn't show me new stuff. It doesn't show me like a rainforest in the Himalayas and like a monkey swinging from a tree. It's just like, here's a house in Massachusetts. Here's a bank in your area. It's all just like...
You want to know why?
Cookie cut.
Because it's the people you have in your, like, who you friend.
Right. So
at one point when I was at Belltone, I was friending all hearing, you know, specialists. So maybe people that own different Belltones, or maybe people that, you know, were different hear care practitioners. I was friending them all. So my feed looked much different than it is now, where I'm friending now, you know, people that are lenders, people that are real estate agents, brokers. I mean, so now that I'm friending them, my page is totally changed.
Isn't it interesting?
It is.
I want more diversity. So if Mark Zuckerberg is watching.
Shout out Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes. 8.
How How many shout-outs can we get in this video?
What we'll start doing is putting a number, AJ, for each one. So bing, bing, and at the end we'll tally them all up.
But you know, there's a book that I haven't started yet, but it's called Taking People With You by David Novak. And so like the idea is, you know, when you rise, you know, you take the people with you. I mean, not that I'd be taking the people that I'm already talking to have already gotten there. I don't gotta do that, but you know, it's just kind of that same idea. It's about the people you meet. It's the people that help you. So
sure.
You got to shout out. So you have to acknowledge all the people that have helped you. I would say my biggest mentor, like one of my first real mentors, is Tasha Williams. So shout out to Tasha Williams.
Nice. Who's Tasha?
So she was someone that I worked with. At one point, I worked at the Savory Grape in East Greenwich.
What's that?
It's a liquor store, high-end liquor store.
Main
Off of
Street?
Division. The movie theater, across from the movie theater, the Dave's Plaza.
Oh, the Dave's Plaza.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. I know exactly what that is.
So that was my first job that I got after Carrabba's.
Oh.
And that was the job that started to show me.
You really wanted to go after that wine. I'm going to learn how to sell wine. I'm going to go to the Savory Grape, and then I'm going to come back to Carrabba's.
I didn't even think of that. But actually, the Savory Grape, I will say this, they were really good at educating their staff.
They should be.
They were. And so, you know, I felt really equipped when I was able to help people out on the floor. And I wasn't necessarily a salesperson. I worked at the cash register, but they made everyone feel included. We actually did like these educational things where we could present projects, and I learned a lot about beer, wine, spirits, how they're made, the taste. We did a lot of tastings. So it was really educational. I personally think, now again, this is coming from a newbie's perspective, because I'm looking at these like, you know, kind of why is it the way it is? But for me, I think the better training you have for your staff, the better equipped they are to do whatever it is they have to do for your business. I think, you know, I was happier when I knew.
Yeah.
You know, you know what you're talking about.
Yep.
You felt included. And that's really what I was looking for. And so I think the Savory Grape was kind of like a nice stepping stone. You know, I feel like after I agreed to totally not go back to the restaurant business, and, you know, my mom kept telling me, after I wasn't getting a job for a while, she told me, she's like, Emily, just go back in, it's all you know. You know, you don't really have skills. And I don't think she was saying...
Mom.
I don't think she was saying that in a way to say that I'm not of value. It's just, you know, she was right. It hurt to hear, but she was right that I didn't have the educational skills or whatever it was that other jobs were looking for, like, you know, kind of more experienced sales positions. But those were the ones I really wanted, because I really wanted to start the career. They were the ones that had the training, you know. So when she told me, you know, you don't really have any skills, I took that just kind of like the same way, you know, you kind of looked at me like, but I will say that made me want to prove her wrong.
Yes.
So
maybe she did it on purpose.
She doesn't know, because then every time, because she'll say things like that.
Trying to save you, Mom.
She'll say things like that.
That's 10. Shout out to
Shout out to Mom. So Mom, you know, telling me that I don't really have any skills, you know, hard to hear. Definitely sucked. But now, maybe not at the time, but now I realize, you know, it's all out of love. It was just kind of, you know, her way of, you know, trying to guide me. So, like, no hate for anything, but definitely motivated me to be like, you know what? And she kept telling me, just take a restaurant job. It's what you know. It's all you know. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take it because it's all I know. Because I know I can do something else. I don't know what and how, but I know there's more for me out here. It's not just doing that. Proving her wrong has been like, you know, kind of one of those satisfying things. You know, because she's still upset that I haven't necessarily finished my degree. But I still don't know the path I want to go down. I mean, even taking this recruiting job and even going into real estate, I don't know what I want to do. I think eventually I do want to finish just for my own sake, to be able to, you know, say that I finally finished and got the degree eventually. But I want to figure out what it is I exactly want to do. So whether maybe it could be marketing and, you know, that helps me with other things in life. So I'm going to be choosy on that. Yeah, as far as parents go, when they say, you know, your parents aren't always right, I think this is what they mean. Like when they say your parents aren't always right about, you know, not having that cookie before dinner. They might be right about that. Depends. But I think as far as what you want to accomplish in your own life, I don't think they're necessarily right.
They don't have a clue.
No. They're just going based off of what they've done.
And they're giving you safe bets They want to give you the sure bet. Oh yeah, take the restaurant job. So you know, you'll be okay. You'll make $800 a week. You're good. They don't have the risk tolerance because they've been kicked in the teeth. They're 50 years old. They're 60 years old. They've seen life happen and unfold. So they're not going to be like, yeah, go take that risk. Go all in. Put your chips on the table. Parents don't do that.
Right.
So you kind of, you know, if your parents are giving you advice at home, you got to take a little bit of it, but mostly discount a majority of it.
Yeah.
As sad as it is, like they're your parents, but they're just not going to give you the meat and potatoes.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, my parents don't really care what it is I do. They just wanted to be able to, you know, so I could sustain my own life.
Yep.
And be happy. At the end of the day, that's all they want. So, you know, but trying to tell them what I want to do is a no-no. That's what I've learned. I can't tell them. I can tell them when something great happens in the after effect, but I can't tell them before. That's
what do you get if you tell them before? Oh, well, you know, you gotta blah, blah, blah.
It's, you know, it makes me feel bad. Honestly, you get the same, I'm not gonna lie, it's not necessarily supportive. And I don't want to throw them under the bus because I'm sure all parents do this. It's not just them. They're great parents. They really are. But no, it sounds crazy. You know, anything that's not conventional doesn't fly with them. But I have to, and then, you know, realize that these aren't the people I necessarily talk to about this. They're people I can go to for other things, but I can't go to them for this. So my family has really been people that I don't necessarily go to until after I have good news. You know, until after I'm like, you know, this is what happened.
What I did here.
Look, if you see.
Yep. Do you live with them still?
Yes, I do. I still live with them. Yep.
Is that hard?
I mean, it's a little harder now because my grandmother moved in.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you got 3 gens hanging out.
3 generations, right?
Of Gencarellas.
Of Gencarella, 3 gens.
Get that joke? Gens, generations.
So my parents had me at the age of 33.
Okay.
So they were a little bit older.
You think that's old? My parents had me, they were 30. And my uncle had my cousin when he was like 42.
Okay. Well, I think it's older in the sense that that's a large gap. 33 years in between us, you know? So maybe someone that's 10 years younger than them might be able to relate to me a little bit more than they do. You know, I'll say this, like, my mom's always trying to give me this advice about social media. Nobody cares. You know, why are you doing that? You know, all this stuff. People judge. While she's true to some regard, you know, I cannot take the advice of someone who doesn't even have social media themselves. You know? So that was another lesson I kind of learned. Like, don't take advice from people that aren't practicing or doing anything themselves with it. They can't tell you for sure.
True. But can't they give you a neutral opinion?
Yeah, but...
Like the way you go and see a therapist or a shrink, they don't know you. They're not your friend. They're not your lover. They're not your family. And you go and tell them all your problems. And then they give you advice. Yeah,
but they're giving me advice and I'm not even asking them for it. They just they'll see stuff online and be like, well...
Oh, okay.
You know, at one point I tried to do like a little comedy video. I was doing like a skit. I was just...
Yeah.
What do they call? Yeah. And Mom didn't like it. But you know what? I thought it was funny. Other people thought it was funny. And at the end of the day, it's what I wanted to post. You know, it wasn't talking about anything religious, political, wasn't hurting anybody, wasn't offensive. It was just a funny little thing. My biggest thing is I'm so afraid to post on social, because we are in the era of social media, and I really want to be on social media. I want to be in that wave, you know? I want to get on it. I want to use it. I want to utilize it. I really like it, you know, and maybe that's my generation, or that's just my fascination with it. But it's hard to get in front of that camera sometimes, especially when you're fearing that rejection, or you're fearing what people are going to say. Honestly, the people that I care about the most, the absolute most, is my family. You know, I've had to block some people on the social media as well from family.
Me too.
Just from, you know, negative feedback for no reason.
I don't need this.
Yeah.
I always block them and I report them. Even if they didn't do anything wrong.
And I report them.
Report, hate speech, other, like...
Yeah.
So they get, like, pushed off for 3 days. Facebook jail.
Facebook jail. See, but I think this is what's kind of important to talk about, especially because this is probably the stuff that the people that are successful have gone through, but, you know, maybe in different times. You know, having to deal with that hate, the rejection. This is just, you know, what's happening today, 2020, but this is the process. This is the beginning. This is where you start, where you kind of get that hate. Now to say, again, I haven't made it where I am, but I'm still going through that. I'm still constantly having to grow and, you know, realize these things. Okay, these are the people I can talk to. These are the people I can't about this. And so, still learning that. I mean, I'm about 1.5 years, I'd say, into my, I don't know, learning, my experience. And just from a year ago, I've gotten so much better and so much more confident. And so, you know, that really, it's not cliche. Who you surround yourself with is who you become.
100%. I had a group of maybe 12 friends, high school, college. 2, maybe 3, I would consider still friends.
Yeah.
I had to nix 8, 9 of these guys. And we were all on the same page for many years, from 10 years old to 22 years old. But then once you get out and you got to start working, you got to start providing, or you got to start making decisions, that's when they start to drop. Like, oh, you know, we don't talk to Greg. He's too busy. All he cares about is money. All he cares about is real estate. It's like, no, but yes. But also, all you care about is drinking. All you care about is hot dogs and cheap steaks on Sunday and sitting on the couch playing video games. I don't care about these things. And they're not making me better. They're setting me back.
Yeah.
So you kind of disassociate, and you have to, because not everybody's coming with you.
Yeah, they're not growing the same time you are. That's what I've had to realize. It's crazy, you know, because you watch all these iconic people talk about it, right? Talk about what you got to do. But the first step I had to take was auditing my friend group.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I had to audit the hell out of myself. But, so I guess audit yourself and then audit your friend group and get rid of anyone immediately.
How do you get rid of them?
You know, so I had someone that told me that, you know, there's people in your life you like, they don't necessarily need to play that big of a role. And how you get rid of them is, you know, you think, do they add any value to your life? And not value, you know, meaning monetary, but, you know, do they make you want to be the person you want to become? Do they make you think? Do they make you think bigger? Do they challenge you? Do they tell you when you're wrong, when you freak up and, you know, you're not willing to admit it? But do they also support you? Do they check in on you? You know, all these little things. Are they giving effort? When you're caught in a situation where you're just hanging out with a group of people that just want to party and drink all the time, which a lot of us are, especially coming out of college, everybody's still in that phase. Some people don't get out of it, you know.
True.
And I had to realize, you know, I will say this, you're very lonely. Very lonely at first, because you really got to pull back. And so, you know, when I was going through kind of like a depressive state, it's kind of easier to be lonely. I mean,
yeah,
you know, for what it's worth. Yeah. But, you know, as I was getting out of the isolation phase, and I had already kind of picked the friends off, and not in any mean way, just, you know, you lose contact because they're really not your friends. They're not going to keep checking up on you. They're not going to keep asking you to go out if you keep saying no. So to cut them off, it's just simply by saying, oh, you know, you're not available, because they'll stop. Nobody's going to keep trying to be friends with people. You know, misery loves company. And if you're not miserable and you don't want to be, you know, join in on whatever they're doing, they're not going to keep hitting you up. So it's really easy to get rid of people. It's hard to find people that want to stick around, though. You know, but, you know, it's all about effort. You have to put in effort, too. It's not just them. But I think when you really care about friends enough, you know, you'll do certain things. Now, I still have friends that, I wouldn't say they're naysayers, but they're friends that I push a little more, you know, back on that spectrum of, okay, who do I share my time with, you know, share my time a little less with them. Still love them because they support me in the grand scheme of things, but they don't necessarily allow me to have that creative flow. They don't necessarily help me with my creative flow. You know, I'm offering all these things to help them, and my biggest thing was finding people that want to do the same things you want to do. So my biggest advice, and you know, I think I kind of found that within Century21, or you know, I should say I definitely did, especially with Dawn. Talk to anybody and everybody that will listen to you about whatever it is the hell you want to do. Doesn't matter how crazy it is, because they will fall on so many deaf ears until finally they fall on the right one. And then someone's gonna be like, you know what? Great idea, let's do it.
Was that a bell tone joke?
No! No, that wasn't. I do have a funny story about bell tone though, if you want to hear it.
Throw it in.
So, when you start working at Belltone, you have to get a hearing test done. You know, just so you undergo like a quick one, so you understand what your clients go through, so you can talk to them about it, and you're educated. You know, yeah, boop, raise your hand.
And then it goes beep beep, like the double beep, and I'm like, what's that? What, do I go twice or do I?
Oh, so you've had one done?
Yeah.
Wow, it's actually common for people, you know, that are younger than
90.
to have it done. So, you know, say at the age of 25, I had mine done, or 24. It's interesting. But, you know, I'm someone that gets really excited about things, so it's easy to amp me up to go into that booth and, you know, take the test, let's go. So I go in one day. And mind you, I'm a very loud person, okay? Like, my parents tell me, shut the hell up every morning, because I'm just so loud naturally. But, you know, chalked it up to being Italian. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go into the booth, do my test, supposed to be done in 15 minutes. 15 minutes has passed. Now we're into like 30 minutes.
Okay.
And I hear, you know, the hearing care practitioner come over and she's like, you know what, we're gonna just go for a little bit longer. I'm gonna test another side. So she does a couple more tests. And she can't figure it out. She's like, honestly, she pulled me out of the booth and she goes, you have some hearing loss in your left ear.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh shit.
What?
Right? What? My grandmother, who lives with us, I wanted to get her hearing tested because I learned more about, you know, the hearing effects. Also, I learned about who was the #1 salesman. Shout out to Mark Zarella, the #1, you know, top producer, top hearing care practitioner, the best one that they have is Mark Zarella. So, to me, you know, being a newbie in the company, I'm like, I gotta meet him. I gotta know. In order to be the best, you gotta work with the best, right? So that was my mindset. So long story short, I pawned my grandma off on Mark Zarella. She got a hearing test done. He retested me, and he said, yeah, you really do. You have hearing loss in your left ear. So I actually ended up having to go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and he confirmed it. I have something called otosclerosis.
Oof.
Otosclerosis, I think I'm saying that right. So I actually go for, I think next month, another hearing test with him to see how far it's dropped, and if potentially surgery might be something to look at. So so I'm not wearing it today, but I will wear a hearing aid. I have a Belltone hearing aid. Yes, the Amaze. And it does help. So that's just a little about me and my hearing. So that was kind of funny. You know, you walk in for a fake hearing test, come out
with a problem.
With actual hearing loss.
That's, I mean, talk about a salesman.
And I mean, actually, Belltone had, because I worked there, they gave me the hearing aid, so thanks again. But yeah, it was interesting. It was funny because I was able to talk to our clients about when they were having problems.
Yeah.
I would be wearing one at, you know, the Belltone office, and someone would talk about the app. So it's really cool. You can use an app with the hearing aids, okay?
Really?
Oh.
Like turn it up?
Oh yeah, so, oh my god. So this app has different program settings. I could set it to restaurant mode, and so the way the mic will work, it's like, you know, turns to omnidirectional. It will listen for different sounds. It's got this smart technology. It's super cool.
Does it record?
No, it doesn't record.
It'd be cool to be like, what did that girl say? Yes, Mr. President.
Right? Does it record? That would be a funny one. No, it doesn't. Actually, they're looking, I think, you know, into the future, they're looking to have the hearing aids read something that has to do with, I think, the glucose. I can't remember what it was, but they'll be able to read some sort of levels in like someone's body. It has to do with, you know, an older problem. I don't know, whatever issues. But yeah, so the technology is advancing. It's pretty cool. So older people, they don't really know how to use their iPhones, right? So now, because I had actually used the app, before using the app, I had no idea how to help them. But now, because I could actually use the app, it's so fun. I'll just be sitting on the phone with, like, I don't know, Loretta or something, you know, and I'll be talking, Loretta, this is what you gotta do. Power down the iPhone. That's holding the side button. The other side, you know? But it's fun. I'm able to talk to them about it, and they get it. I'm like, oh, I get it. I get your problem. I was having static in this ear. So, you know, being able to relate to them, I think at 24, you know, it was kind of comical, but it was a really good way to learn about the product, actually using it.
So you've done that with the hearing aid, the wine.
Yep.
Okay, and now what's the next thing that you're going to be relating to for people here at Century21? What are you going to do to help relate to them?
So, that's interesting. I've never really thought about that.
It seems like you immerse yourself wherever you are. What do you see? I know it's early, you just started, but what do you see as that hearing aid or that bottle of wine?
So, I think with Century21, so because I got into the recruiting position, because I'm also becoming a real estate agent, I think, being able to talk to new recruits eventually, because I'll be practicing real estate, I think that will, how do you talk about something you don't have skin in the game with? So, I could see that benefiting me.
So, onboarding.
Onboarding, yeah. Absolutely.
Which is tough. Like, onboarding is because the seasoned people don't want to do it. They're kind of like, too busy, they're new. But then the young people can't necessarily do it, but you know how it feels coming on board.
Yeah.
In multiple different businesses, so you can make that smooth, and they can come in and be better. And
yeah, I like working with people, and I think, everybody says they want to help people, right? I think how I want to help people is help them get into the business, help them get, acclimated, help them learn, help with the training, help with different programs. Be that person that people feel like they can go to, because unfortunately, I've had different experiences in jobs where it's uncomfortable to go to the HR, right?
Yes. Because you're like, Helen in HR, she's kind of tough.
Right, but especially when there's, a situation at hand, and I don't want to get into the Me Too thing because I'm not about that. But, there are situations where people don't feel comfortable talking to other people about it. And, there's a lot of, I think, distrust. And so I think if I could be that person that people genuinely feel like they could trust, if this is where I see myself, I don't know, in a few years, once I've developed. But this is, I think now more than ever, it is so important to be able to communicate with people, listen to people, and understand them, and genuinely care for them. Now, I'm not talking about, I'm going to call you every day because I love you so much. I'm going to, we're going to be buddy-buddy. Not that kind of care, but, if you're working for me or you're working with me, I want to care about you. And I care about you as a person because how you perform, is based on how you feel. And so if you're feeling you have all your needs satisfied, you're feeling adequate, you're feeling confident, then you're going to perform well, right? And so to me, it's always been about the people. It's always been about the relationships, building with people. When I was little, they used to call me the mayor because I would just know everybody, saying hi to everybody. But that's just who I am. I just love people. I don't think everybody's bad. I think, we're inherently good. We just grow up bad because of the things we've learned, our environment. But I think everybody's really, deep down, we all have things we care about. And we all have, needs and wants. And I think sometimes they can lead us to be a different way, but I think we're all good. I don't know. And I like to bring the best out in people because they're definitely people that I can think of that have brought the best out of me when there wasn't, when I couldn't see the best of myself. And those are the people I really, thank and admire because, to be able to inspire yourself. I have this quote and it says, "Good players inspire themselves. Great players inspire others." But I think it's so applicable to, everything.
Absolutely. Because if you're good, you're just looking in the mirror, look at me, look
you only
at
care
me.
about yourself.
But the great is all right, look at me, I'm good, now what can I do here?
Right.
Or who can?
You know who inspires me? And not because of who he is as a sports player, but as who he is kind of as a person is Tom Brady.
Tim Brady. I call him Tim Brady.
Tim Brady?
Just to aggravate the New England guy. No longer New England, but I would be like, did you see that guy? What's his name? Tim Brady? It's Tom! There's a real,
real force.
Anyways.
2018, he had this post with Under Armour, and he wrote about, at the end of it all, it talked about if there's a will, there's a way kind of thing. And so, you could be, talked about how he was that guy that was on the bench. You could be whoever you are. You could have people that help you. You could have people that don't. People aren't going to see, those long nights that you put in. But at the end of it, will has a way. And so I really like that quote. And then also, even though I don't really understand football at all, I'm going to admit that, I remember I was dating a guy who was talking about how Brady took a pay cut so that way they could hire or take on other players and pay them more so that way they would have a really good team. And so when he had talked about it, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God.
So dreamy.
No, not dreamy. I was just like, that's someone that didn't have to do that. And so, you know what my boyfriend said to me at the time? He goes, well, him and his wife together, they make so much money, it doesn't even matter. That attitude pissed me off because I'm like, you know what? That's not the point.
Beat it.
The point is, this is what he's actually worth. Mm-hmm. But he's willing. It doesn't matter how much money he has, if he has all the money in the world. This is what he's worth, okay? And the fact that he's saying, you know what, I'm going to take less so we can have a better team. I was speechless. I was like, wow, I've never heard of that before. Maybe it's happened out there in the past. But, like, kudos to Tom Brady for that. And that was, like, a really inspiring thing, too. It's for the betterment of the team, not just an individual self. Mm-hmm. So I'm always about team. Or is it together, everybody achieves more? Team.
There is no I in team, but there is me, is what my friend used to say. It's like, oh.
But there is me. I mean, you'd really have to twist that one. It's like Scrabble, take the words out.
Yeah, it's. I remember playing baseball. We used to have those like acronyms, you call it, and it was DIMIT was one of ours. It was like determination is more something than something. I don't remember what it was, but those they stick with you.
They do.
And if everybody's on that same page, we all go up.
Right. And that was another thing when I was looking for company culture. I was like, you know what, I want to be a part of a team. Everything I wanted was totally reasonable. And I didn't want to settle. And so I think that's also what happens. I mean, if you have the means to be able to hold out, and, I'm blessed that I am able to live at home and that my parents, till I'm 26, still pay for what they do.
Obamacare runs out.
Right. They still, they're able to, pay for certain things, and I can, survive, so to speak. So I wanted to wait. I don't know. I wanted to wait till I found something because, to me, my mental health really matters, and it should for everybody. And so I knew if I wasn't going to be working somewhere that I really wanted to be, then I wasn't going to be happy. Mm-hmm. And my whole thing is being happy and having a purpose. And, to me, I think that's what's going to help, project me to be successful. Whatever the success is.
Right.
We all hear this word success, but, what is it?
Yeah, it's so gray. It's so,
right?
intangible. But how about this, right? As a woman breaking into all these businesses, did you find that there's this male complex of, we're in charge and you're a woman? Does that still exist? Or are the lines blurred now and it's men, woman, doesn't matter? Because I feel like 10 years ago, even 20, 30, it's always been male this, female here. Does that still exist or is it changing?
I will say as someone that's coming in new to these companies, directly, I don't think, no one said to me directly because you're a woman.
Right. But do
I feel like that?
Smell?
Yeah. I mean, I will say, a few companies, Savior Grape was the only one that had all female dominance. You know what I mean?
What is it?
The Savior Grape. They were
Savior Grape. Gotcha.
The dominant leaders, right? Dominant people. But everywhere else, it was the females were under, right? They didn't hold that high of a position. Mm-hmm. And the ones that maybe did weren't necessarily the warmest. Mm-hmm. So do I think it's changing? Yes. Would I like to see more females, in those higher positions? Absolutely. And not just because we're female. I want to see females in that position that deserve to be in that position because they've worked. Just doesn't matter your gender, but I want whoever works their ass off to be where they deserve to be. Mm-hmm. And so I will say it's interesting. I really have one female person in my life, which is Tasha, who inspires me and that I, get this kind of mentoring from. The rest have been all men. And all great men, too. I will say it. I still keep in contact with some of the older men that, used to mentor me in other jobs. And all great, great people. And what's really interesting is I'm someone that likes to get deep with people, right? I like to, talk about really deep things that are kind of hard to talk about. And what I've realized is that these older men who are very successful, they go through struggles on their own. And, everyone says, you all know everybody struggles, but sometimes you don't really realize it. When you only see those pictures and you only see the good stuff, you only hear about the bad stuff, you don't hear about, the rough shit other people have had to go through. So it's almost nice to be able to hear that and feel like, you know, I'm not the only one that feels like this, and that even the older, successful people that we already see are in this. You don't gotta be Jeff Bezos. You don't gotta be Elon Musk. You don't have to be those people to be successful. Those are the people that have, you know, that what I like to call FU money, right? So, but not a lot of people will make it to that point. So I like to look at the people that are big, you know, locally, how successful they are locally, because that's more attainable. I don't know whether it's just because it's a generation thing, or if it's, you know, just in who they are as a person, but all the people that, like, I find to be, you know, successful, whatever, you know, monetary-wise, let's just call it monetary-wise, because that's what a lot of people view success as, and I think that's, like, a side effect. I think, you know, monetary being, you know, financially successful is a side effect of overall success, but they're not flaunting it online. They're the group that has so much money, and, you know, I've been to these big, beautiful houses, and they're not flaunting it online like all the other people are. What I've noticed is people that do flaunt it necessarily don't have it the way they're perceived to have it online. And so, I don't know, once you kind of come to terms with that and you can fully accept that, it kind of makes doing your own thing a little bit easier. You know, but you also got to focus on yourself. I tend to actually get rid of people off my Facebook that kind of do that. Because, to me, what you look at every day is going to be kind of indicative of your mindset for that day. So I hate having anything negative on my newsfeed. So even if it's, I have friends that I'm friendly with that I delete off Facebook just because of the negative stuff they post. So what I like to see is something that's positive. Now, I'm okay with, you know, people having different opinions and different sides, but if it's the constant. If you're constantly, or if you just say something really out of bounds, all right, bye. But if it's the constant thing, if it's not necessarily going to be something I should be seeing because all subconsciously it could be affecting me in whatever way, whether it fires me up, whether, you know, plucks the string, triggers me, I get rid of them. So I think it's really important for my Facebook, my social media, whoever I follow, to, you know, be kind of positive overall. Have positive messages, maybe teach me something. So that's kind of how I set my Facebook, or, you know, that's how I design or choose who I keep as friends on there. So
what would you say is your biggest character flaw?
My biggest character flaw? Oh my god, not knowing when to shut the hell up.
Is that a flaw?
Oh, I think so. I mean, character flaw. I would say that, I think that's a flaw. Not, you know, talking too much, because if you're talking, you're not really listening.
True. I wouldn't think it's a flaw, though.
No. I would say right now, then, maybe a flaw would be...
I think that's one of your assets.
My assets? Oh, thank you, Gregory.
Because that's like what you said. You ask, you talk, you stick your neck out there. That's how you met me.
That's true.
It wasn't from sitting and quiet.
Oh, yeah. Why don't we just tell people how we met?
It was, she was on Craigslist.
Classic. Classic Craigslist.
Craigslist. I was on Facebook, and I saw a message come in from you, and I forget what the context was, but pretty much you're like, you know, I want to talk about what you do, I want to learn about, and it's like, sure, come on in, boom. So to say that you're talking is a character flaw, I think, is way wrong.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Most people can't talk. That's a character flaw. They don't know how to talk to, they live in these little bubbles. And they can't, like, oh, I never talked to that kind of person. I'm just going to stay over here instead. You would be like, hello.
Everyone, come on.
Yeah.
Then I would say right now, definitely learning to prioritize work and friends. Like, I'm constantly trying to do this self-development, learn new things, whether it's, you know, from learning real estate school, and now I've started like a mastery recruiting class. So it's been and also doing things, you know, for myself, the creative hobby, which is, you know, what I reached out to you about, trying to balance that in friends. You know, realizing that you can be selfish at times, and yes, be selfish, but I think that there are certain times when you gotta realize that, you know, you can't be. You know, you can't always be missing. You know, when your friends are trying to get together, you say you're going to be there, but then, because something comes up for you that's better to you, you're going to miss it. So that's something I've been battling with, being like, you know what, this is important to my friend, and all of a sudden, because something better came up for me that night, because it could, involve my creative work or whatever.
Yeah.
So do I really need it to do it tonight? Do I really need to do it tonight? So, trying to kind of balance that out. I think that would something I definitely need to work on, character flaw.
I think mine is not drawing the line too. Like, I'll work all day and then sacrifice friends, wife, family, dogs, personal time, physical relaxation, mental relaxation. And it's like, after a while, the quality of life goes down, and you have to learn how to say, all right, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, all those emails are sitting until tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at that, but then it's just like, oh, it's 9 o'clock, nothing's going on, I can just hop on and do something. But then you go down that rabbit hole of, now I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm trying hard, but it's hard to stop.
Yeah.
There's one thing that's like a flaw.
Kerwin, do you watch Kerwin Ray?
Doesn't ring a bell.
No? Let's go. So we'll give another shout out, Kerwin Ray. He
13.
he's from Australia, so big, speaker in Australia. He's really awesome. I love watching him. I suggest, viewing him. He talks about a lot of cool different things. But one of the things, he had said was, people need to get bored. You have to take that time off, because people need to get bored to kind of fall in love with what it is they're doing again. And so, kind of like you, I'm trying to, I guess, learn how to be bored. Because my thing is this. It's not necessarily... Because I think there are definitely points where maybe I'm less productive than I really think I'm being. Just because I went with not having a purpose for a really long time, that I'm so afraid to not have a purpose again. So I'm always trying to do something. But that's not necessarily the most productive thing. So it's kind of learning how to, pull back. Learning how to shut off the brain. As someone that, has ADD, my brain doesn't shut the hell off. And that's a great thing, for certain things, for creativity, for throwing out ideas, for all that, being, for me, I think it's so much easier for me to talk to people because I don't overthink it. There are things that I don't overthink. I'm impulsive. So that's one of the side effects of ADD is your impulsivity. Now, has it gotten to me into trouble in the past as a youngin'? Yeah. But that's the greatest part, too, about me. Because I'm impulsive, I'll do things like that I don't really think twice about necessarily talking to a certain person. And so I think, it helps me.
And if you could give the folks at home one shining bit of advice for their personal life, what would it be? Now,
I feel like this would fall into businessy eventually, but find something creative or something that you really like to do, something that if you could do something, they say, for your business, if you could do one thing, what would it be? But a lot of people will do, something else. But think something crazy, like if you want to be an actor, right? But, you're the CEO of a different company. I don't know. My thing would be try doing that creative thing, because now we have things like YouTube. We have things like, all these different things that now you can be that video person. You have TikTok. You can be that dancer. So my one advice would be find something that you like to do kind of creative-wise and then hone in on it. And then maybe eventually tie it into, how does it tie into help you into business? So something that Dawn and I are eventually will be started on, which is the passion project. Hopefully that will start coming out. It'll be a video, it'll be a YouTube channel. I think that will help us in the long run business-wise. Now this came from a creative standpoint. This came from me trying to find my passion. I'm talking to different people about how I find my passion, and then just the kind of advice that I've been given. I wanted to put it into a YouTube channel. And I said this to Don. I said, hey Don, blah, 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 whatever. And he's like, let's do it. And I'm like, so my thing would be talk to anybody and everybody about it if you need help with it. If someone's got to be involved with it, because it wasn't something I didn't want to do on my own. Because again, I'm about teamwork and doing things collectively. Your own idea necessarily might not be the best idea, but when you bounce it off different people, you get something great. So I think find something you can do creatively, whether you want to figure out if that's something you like to do on your own or you need someone else with it, and then do that. Find something. I don't know. Find something to grow into. I think growing into the entertainment business is something I want to do. Now, will I ever get there? Who knows? But the best way to start is by starting. And how do you start? And this is my idea of starting, making a YouTube channel.
Yep, and making 1.5-hour videos.
Yeah. This is why I bought this huge ring light. So I was like, let's get
As it's getting darker here, this is becoming like it's changed over the hour. It's nice. How about something you've done about self-development that you can say, I was feeling this way and I did this and now I feel this?
I was feeling stuck. I was feeling happy, unproductive, unmotivated. I started, putting all the stuff on Facebook that I didn't like, taking people off Facebook, really auditing my Facebook.
So audit, let's boil that down. Audit your life. Audit your friends. Yeah. Audit your food. Audit your money.
There you go.
Audit your home. Audit your job. Audit your family. Audit your friends.
I love it.
Audit.
Audit your life.
How do you spell audit?
A-U-D-I-T?
Yes. Audit. Put that on the screen. Audit. That's your word. So and that's a tough word. That's an intimidating word.
You know what's the funny part is? My dad is an auditor, actually. Partner at KPMG, yep. So, but I am even using this word.
And Don drives an Audi TT. So audit is what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
Just self-police yourself.
Yeah. It sucks though, I will say that. It really sucks at first. Another quote I like. Darling, positive change doesn't feel positive at first. Mm-hmm. And nothing's easy at first. Mm-hmm. Nothing. Practice makes progress. Wise words from Emily.
Yeah.
not my quote, someone else's, but I'll use them.
Use them. And then this here. And if folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do so?
With me? Oh, okay. So you can contact me on my cell phone. That's 401-632-6738. Or you can contact me my email. That's Gencarella, which is my last name, Gencarella @C21ne.com.
And can they follow you anywhere?
Oh yes, they can follow me on the Instagram. They can follow me on Facebook. Hopefully I'll be doing more with TikTok. But that's @TheRealMGen. And that's on my Instagram, that's my TikTok, and then Emily Gencarella is my Facebook.
Can they follow you in real life?
They can follow... I would rather see more leaders and followers, but they can most certainly follow me in real life. I want people to know that, I don't by any means feel like I'm a professional in saying this, in this interview. I guess, want to be someone out there that if, this video could help one person that maybe doesn't know what they want to do in life, and see that, even at the beginning process, you can be happy and you can, envision what success looks like, and that gives you purpose and that makes you motivated. So if I could just inspire one person, I think that'd be the coolest thing to me.
Right on. Nice to chat with you.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions for me, throw them in the comment section below. And once again, Greg Rice, we're here at Century21 Northeast in Cranston, Rhode Island with Emily Gencarella.